December 28th, Thursday. Um, that is not Thursday. It's the 27th, and it is Sunday. Um, it's only the 28th of December, but snow is falling outside. There wasn't any snow back in Tokyo, though the air was crisp and chilly, cold enough to make you burrow your hands a little deeper into your pockets. It didn't snow. It's different if you travel a little further north, though. It gets colder here, much, much earlier. Everything is cold in the northern countryside. Everything except people's hearts. As my dad likes saying, my dad can be pretty cheesy at times, but he might have a point. I've been living in Tokyo since spring this year. In the beginning, I was excited to get away from the dull countryside I was raised in. But well, you know what they say, the grass is always greener on the other side, and people are never satisfied. And when I left home, I soon discovered how much different the city was from everything I used to know. I lived in the countryside all my life, in a small town with a population of around 15,000 people. I'd taken it for granted that I knew the names of my neighbors and they knew mine. I thought it was normal for our family cat Tama would sometimes stay with the elderly Mr. Iriguriashi for days on end because he fed our picky feline better cuts of meat than we did. It was only to be expected that the clerk at the nearby grocery store would give me a few extra sweet potatoes whenever I stopped by because he knew my younger sister. My hometown was much colder than Tokyo during the winter months, and I can still remember scenes from my childhood with snow piled up on the roads. All the roofs would strain beneath the burden of the snowfall, and my father would spend his days off, work shoveling snow for our elderly neighbors. No matter how frigid the winter became in my small town, the people would always band together to help one another, spearheaded by gung-ho, internally optimistic men like my father. In my old man words, the hearts of the people were warm, even if their hands were cold. Tokyo, meanwhile, is completely different. In Tokyo, the streets are busy, and the buildings are big, and the people, it's hard for me to describe them. That's because there are far too many of them. Tokyo is inhospitable, per se, but it's not the most welcoming of places. Least of all to a boy like me, who grew up in such a secluded environment. I was afraid of Tokyo would eat me up and spit me back out. I think my parents were afraid too. My mom used to call me every day when I was first settling in. She was forever sending me bags of rice, locally procured persimmon, and fearful I might be so overwhelmed by my new surroundings, I'd forget to buy food for myself. That, or maybe she worried I wouldn't know how. Fortunately, I managed to make it this far, though I was awkward and unsure in the beginning. I survived the hostile alien terrain of the big city. I joined the photography club at the university and I made several friends. My time in the city wasn't as bleak or as scary as I feared it would be. In fact, I enjoyed it. 8 months later, I managed to make it back to my hometown in mostly one piece, with an expensive new haircut, and expensive new shoes, and expensive new glasses to show for my travels. My canvas bag lies on the ground, at least my feet. It's a small bag, with only a few sets of my clothes, and a games console, and my camera stashed away inside. I'm only going to go back at home for a handful of days. I plan to stay for New Year's, and of course, because it's a family celebration, we, meaning me, my father, my mother, and my younger sister, always go to our local shrines together, and that's it. When the 3rd of the January rolls around, I'll be on this old rackety train back home. I can't afford to miss the start of the semester, not even a couple of days. Time I have discovered moves more quickly in the city than it does on the countryside. If you miss a single lecture, you'll be scrambling around for a week, trying to recover the information that slipped through your fingers, but sometimes it's too late. There's not enough time. There's never enough time. I sighed as I stared out on the train windows. It's very dark, but the stars are practically bright together tonight. I think I can spot Betelgeuse out of the corner of my eye. It's the third brightest star in the northern hemisphere. I know a lot about the stars. My grandfather liked to lecture me about the night sky when I was little. I wasn't particularly interested. I only cared about my shadow. But his lessons must have stuck. Can I see any other constellations out the train window? It's hard to tell. My eyes, despite my brand new glasses, are unfocused. Snow doesn't help. The snowflakes fall slowly and lazily, swirling through the cold night sky like they have all the time in the world. Time. I yawn. Of course it wouldn't snow in Tokyo. That would cause too many problems. It could interfere with the bus route or the train schedules. Schools would be shut and business meetings canceled. Everything would fall apart. All it takes is a day. Time is money, and it can only afford to snow out here in the middle of nowhere, because who is it going to inconvenience? The citizens of my tiny town? The miserable selection of my shops? And only one high school? Like anyone cares. 15,000 people is nothing compared to the millions who reside in Tokyo. I can feel sleep creeping up on me. My arms and legs drop like unwatered plants, and my head feels like far too heavy on my neck, as though it's been stuffed full of newspaper. With a soft yawn, my eyelids fall shut and my head leans back against my chair. I think I'm dreaming. In my dreams, it snows. It always snows around here. Though I missed my parents as a good deal when I went to Tokyo, I eventually learned how to live without them. I even iron my own laundry now. I've always been on the short side for my age. I blame my mother's gene pool. With long feminine fingers and soft round cheeks, I think. But I'm still 19 years old. I'll be 20 next year. I'm an adult though. I don't particularly look like one. We all have to grow up eventually. Parents saw me off at my train station last spring, and my heart's full of dreams. My head's full of nerves, and my dad just put one meaty paw on my shoulder and told me that there was nothing to worry about. You're my son, he said. No matter what happens, you'll do just fine. I have faith in you. At that time, I appreciated this vote of confidence, particularly when I had so little confidence myself. I like to believe I'm capable of being self-sufficient now, but I still think about my father's words from time to time. His serious tone was quite unusual for my dad, who, despite being tall and broad-shouldered like a cop from a film noir, is always cracking terrible jokes. His sudden supportive attitude was surely new. Whenever I watched television with my family on the New Year's Eve, huddled together beneath the kotatsu like penguins, my dad would point at the male idols on the panel shows to say, "Look, you, I found the perfect job for you. Haven't you ever wanted to be a model?" Then he laughed, slapped his knees, disrupting the top of the kotatsu. So green tea spilled everywhere. I never imagined I'd one day miss my father, who was determined to poke fun at me at every given opportunity during my formative years, but I miss him more than I expected. As for my younger sister, however... Hey, are you deaf? Ask you to pass me the vinegar. I don't think I could ever miss her. Otaku might be a part of my family, but we've never gotten on, despite how similar we look. We've never gotten on. She, like me, inherited her looks from our mother. Unlike me, however, her vitamin charms are a source of amusement. Otaku is short, slender, with a face shaped like an egg. She has clear skin, clear eyes, and the same long fingers that I have, though her nails are always filed and polished, painted to match her outfit for the day. She's a pretty girl, there's no doubt about it, but I asked you like 4 times the vinegar now. She's not exactly nice. In fact, nice is the last word I'd use to describe her. I'm sorry, I was spacing out. I'm tired from my trip. You do look a little pale. Would you like me to run a bath for you, dear? It's fine, Mom. I can do it myself later. My mother always liked coddling people. Maybe that's why Otaku grew up to be such a... I should hope you can do it yourself. Being away from home for so long, a man's gotta learn someday. My dad laughs and slaps a hand on my shoulder. Oh dear, if you're that tired, you should have some green tea. It might wake you up after your long journey. You know what? I've never understood that. People are like, let's have some green tea. It'll wake you up. But green tea makes me relax and makes me want to sleep. Mom begins to refill my cup of green tea without waiting for my response. She doesn't have to play the role of the perfect hostess with me, but telling my mother that would be a fruitless effort. I've long suspected my mother has a unique form of OCD, namely, she just can't rest easy when there's food to serve or cups to fill. Maybe it's just because she's worked as a waitress in Rokoikan for a few years, or maybe it's because she missed having her family all together like this. I guess she wants to pamper me as much as possible while she has the chance. There aren't many people as compassionate as my mother. Apart from Mrs. Mishima, perhaps she who used to babysit me, Otaku, when we were kids. Oh please. While my mother is only too happy to attend my needs, imagine or otherwise, Otaku is less than aesthetic. You can't be that tired, you big baby. Tokyo's not that far away. It's 6 hours and my connecting train was half an hour late. Oh, poor you. Excuse me if I don't weep with sympathy. At least you get to live in the big city now. I'd kill to be in your position. Let's not talk about killing at the dinner table, dear. Whatever. Otaku rolls her eyes, and the motion is particularly effectively given the ring of black eyeliner that frames her deep brown irises. Maybe I should try to diffuse the tension. The 4 of us might be a family, a model, an example of a nuclear unit, but I have been away for almost a year. It's only natural our reunion would be a little awkward. You can't expect everything to revert back to the way it used to be over a single meal. You don't need to get jealous, Otaku. Don't call me that. Oops, I forgot much that Otoko hates it when people use her real name. How could I forget? She only chewed my head off about 1,000,000 times in one time, ever since she turned 13 and started reading fashion magazines and learned to be self-conscious. I'm sorry, Otome. Our family's name is Sotome. Otoko prefers to go by a diminutive of that rather than given her name. Well, I can't exactly blame her. I heard her name from our maternal grandmother, but it's pretty hefty burden to place on a fashion conscious girl like my younger sister. While she is written with perfect inconspicuous characters, those for sound and girl, respectively, it's more commonly used to mean a man. She says as soon as she leaves home and goes to the university, she's going to get her name legally changed. Mom tried to talk her out of it, but she is as stubborn as a goat, and nothing can change her mind. That's why it's impossible to argue with her about anything. In a way, Tokyo's not all of it's cracked up to be, you know? Oh, really? Really, it's so big, and there's so many people, and it can be pretty noisy at times. So, are you trying to show off now? No, Oh, it must be so hard for poor little you, having to go all the way off to the big bad city. Well, I'm stuck here in this dump with nothing to do for another 2 years. This town isn't so bad, is it? You don't want to grow up too soon. Enjoy your childhood. I'm not a child. I just turned 17, Dad. Nonsense. You still look like a little girl to me. Please, you'd say that even if I was as old as Grandma. That's because no matter how old you get, you'll always be my darling. Dad reaches over and ruffles the top of her immaculately styled hair. She pulls a face and shuffles away, the leg of her chair scraping against the floor. How many times have I told you not to do that, Dad? You're going to ruin my hair. Dad laughs a lot. I yawn, fatigued, but not fatigued enough to forget to press a hand against my mouth. I have no desire to give my family an eyeful of half-masticated nikujaika. Not on my first day back home. So, I mean, you wanted the vinegar. That's what I said like an hour ago. She obviously didn't make this request an hour ago, but I don't point that out. Getting into an argument about systematic would be incredibly childish and petty. I am an adult now. Here, I slide the vinegar over. As expected, she doesn't thank me. I don't know why you couldn't have gotten it yourself. And reached all the way across the table. She raises an eyebrow. She doesn't say, "What are you, blank?" That's clearly the message she's trying to imply. You were closer to it than me. And in a way, you're supposed to be the man. Aren't you meant to look out for your little sister? Sorry, I didn't think. No, well, you never do. I guess some things don't change. It's rare. I agree with my sister, and she might be right. It's been many months since I saw her last, but she's still a huge brat. So, honey, we're all curious. What's it like in the big city? You haven't been there for a full year yet, but you already look different. So, dear brother, why don't you spill the beans? What's it like in the big city? I'm dying to know. Please enlighten us, little people. Well, there's so much. I'm not sure where to begin. I don't really want to begin either, not with her glaring at me, her lips pursed like she's sucking on a bitter melon. I'm too tired for all this. That train ride really took it out of me. I must be getting old. A clear stream of water saccades from the tap and the drums against the stainless steel basin. Glossy soap bubbles dance in the air, shining with rainbows. Tonight's dinner was a feast, painstakingly created for the sake of replenishing your energy after that awful train journey, to use Mom's words. I'm grateful, Mom, with the extra mile for me. Unfortunately, the sheer variety of side dishes Mom cooked has created a mountain of dirty bowls, pots, and pans. They all stacked up on the right side of the sink, just like Mount Fuji in miniature, but more precarious, of course, so I couldn't complain. Mom cooked all this food for me. Knowing her, she'd probably been in the kitchen since the crack of dawn. She's the kind of person who makes her own dash, stock, and noodles. No store-bought food for us. I'm a very lucky son. Mom went through a lot of effort on my behalf, so it's only right I should clean up the mess my return home caused. Mom tried to wave aside my efforts to help. Don't be silly, dear. You can't wash up in your state. Just be exhausted. But I remained firm, despite the fatigue that had crept on me. I hid my lethargy as best as I could around Mom, but she now pandered off to the living room with Dad. I can't quite stifle my yawns. The soap bubbles danced before my drooping eyes like something from a dream. I reached out and touched one. Its shining sphericals. Hold on, I have to plug in my controller. This shining spherical surface is slick and wet to the touch for all of those 2 milliseconds before it bursts. It disappears without a trace, as though it was never there. Unfortunately, the pots and pans remain. They're not going to go away if I stand here spacing out. If only she would help me a little. Mom told her to lend me a hand, but... Hey, aren't you supposed to be doing the drying? I don't like it. But Mom asked you to help. Maybe she did, but Mom isn't here to tell me what to do right now. Not like you ever listen to her anyways, or anyone else for the matter. I only been home for a few hours, but she's already starting to get on my nerves. I had a busy day. I'll do the washing. The least you could do is run a cloth over these pots and pans. No thanks, I just painted them yesterday. I don't think why you bothering painting your nails anyways. Nobody's going to see them. Shut up, I didn't ask for your opinion. She's sitting in the kitchen table, her head propped up with one hand, the other idly flicking through a fashion magazine. Our cat Tama, meanwhile, is lying. The sight stings. I've always loved cats, and I nagged my parents for one the moment I was old enough. I'm not sure why I was so obsessed, but the prospect of owning a cat sounds absolutely magical to me during my childhood. I begged and begged and begged and begged and begged and begged and begged until my mother finally caved in to my demands and bought me a cat for my 8th birthday. That was Tama. Tama came with a cave at that had to look after her by myself, but I didn't care. I was so happy to have a cute feline friend of my very own, who I would love and cherish, and who would love and cherish me in return. Unfortunately, like most things in life, it didn't quite work out like that. Tama has never liked me. When she let me pet her, which is rarely, she does so under dress, her eyes narrow and her back rigid, ready to bolt at any moment. Tama always preferred her, though I'm the one who used to feed her and empty her litter tray. Cats don't know the meaning of the word loyalty. Probably because the cats, not humans, they don't have the thumbs we do to flicker through dictionaries. Whatever. I've often wondered if Tama likes her because they're so similar. They're both temperamental, selfish, and self-centered. She's the only one who can carry Tama in her arms, and she's the only one who can make Tama purr. Tama purring right now. In fact, her fluffy body vibrating sight is rather cute. It's a shame she never acts cute around me. Am I really that unworthy? I tried to cajole my sister once more, and she's glaring at me. I soon realized I've slipped up. Good God, trying to have a conversation with my little sister is like picking up my way through a field full of landmines. Sorry. She doesn't... Don't you think this is a little unfair? Life's unfair, but I only get back... Life's unfair, but I only just got back home. I shouldn't have to do all the washing and the drying by myself. I don't know why you're complaining. You're the one who volunteered. I know, but you're such a suck-up. You always try to score brownie points from people acting like a good little boy. I'm not a boy. I'm nearly 20, and is there anything wrong with helping others? I don't trust guys who act too nice. They always want something in return. I just want you to help me do the dishes. And the saucepans, and the pots, and the cutting boards, and the bowls, and the plates, and the chopsticks. Alright, I know there's a lot, but come on, I'm doing most of the work here. Because you're so eager to help. Well, whatever, I'll give you a hand on one condition. What's that? I know her too well. Even if I haven't been back home in a while, there's a painfully high chance her singular condition will be something unpleasant. If she doesn't ask me to put wasabi in my eyes, she threatened me with worse before. She doesn't threaten me, and neither does she ask me to injure myself for her amusement, but she doesn't. Instead, she says brazenly, without a shred of embarrassment, I want a present. Pardon? I said numbskull, I want a present. What did you do to deserve a present? Isn't it obvious? No? You're so dense. You went all the way to Tokyo. Duh. You should have picked me up a souvenir or two. I was on holiday. I mean, sorry. Like I was saying, I was on holiday. I was studying at a university, to get a job. And you were still in Tokyo. Yes. I was looking for a bikini. Maybe something like this. She turns the page in her magazine and holds it up for my inspection. This one here too. They're both cute. They don't sell any nice clothes in this crappy little town. Go to the next town over then. I have. They never have what I want either, but I'm sure they would in Tokyo. I heard the boutiques there are huge and the malls. It sounds amazing. I love to go shopping in Shibuya. Clothes and shopping are probably her second and third favorite topics of discussion, respectively, but clothes shopping beats them by a wide margin. This one-sided discussion has actually managed to bring a rare smile to my sister's lips. For a moment, she actually looks like a sweet, charming girl. But the moment soon ends. She sighs and leans back in her chair. The legs screech against the floor unpleasantly. Tama ears perk up. She's always been sensitive, even in the slightest of sounds. Though comfortable, a few seconds ago, our finicky cat suddenly gets to her feet, or paws, I guess, hops onto the floor. I've never even been to a mall before. I want to go. It sounds like fun. Malls aren't really that interesting. They just have a lot of shops. That's easy for you to say. Now you have all these opportunities. You get to go to a huge metropolis like Tokyo, and you don't even think to bring your little sister back a present. I kill to find clothes like this. She points at her magazine again. Around here, you have enough clothes already. It's true though. Her closet is full to bursting with outfits. She's the kind of person who buys clothes compulsively, wears them once, and then forgets about them. Truly, this is the Western decadency at its finest. But I don't have the clothes I want. We can't always have what we want. Aren't you the one who said life is unfair? You could at least have asked me if I wanted any presents before you came back. Well, why would I buy my own sister a bikini? That's kind of weird. So you won't give me a gift? It's too late now. I'm already back home. You could buy it back when you get back and have it posted to me later, genius. Then you might as well order it online yourself. You're missing the point here. If I had to do that, it wouldn't be a present. And why do you deserve a present? You're so selfish. All you do is sit on your behind while I do the work. That's because you offered like a moron. Right, that does it. I step forward to do what exactly? I'm not sure. Throwing my wet towel at her face is the first thing that comes to mind, but I don't get a chance to wreak my revenge. That's because at the exact moment, Tama, something small and furry, entwines itself around my unsuspected ankles. I stagger like a drunkard, arm flying out for support, but there's nothing to grab onto. I hear totter, then I fall. My behind hits the floor with a thud. My head smacks against the back of the cabinets while the small of my neck catches against one of the handles. Oh, holy I curse under my breath. It hurts. A lot, actually. Tama, of course, escapes. Unscathed, she gives me a withering look and darts away, her tail held up. You're such a klutz. That's what you get for refusing to buy me your only little sister a fitting present. I grit my teeth together and count to 10. If I don't, I'll end up saying something I regret. She really is impossible. December 29th, Friday. And I think we'll check out what the 29th is like next time.